What's up, coconuts? Welcome to today's video. I'm Leah and we are going to be doing a drugstore haul today. There is a bunch of new stuff at the drugstore that I picked up. I've got, I don't know, like over 10 products here. Most of them are brand new. A couple of them I picked up probably like within the last month or so and have been trying. So most of this will be first impressions, but some of it will be some products that I have tried a few times. So I can give you a little bit more information on those ones. But if you're interested in what is new at the drugstore, stay tuned. The first thing that I'm going to use is this conditioning lip serum from Blistex. I bought this because it's supposed to be like super conditioning, super hydrating, and I want to go ahead and put it on right away because my lips are dry. They say just to use 1 drop, so that's typically what I do because, you know, I like to follow the rules. It has like a kind of like a pretty chemically berry scent. It's not terrible, it's not overpowering, but I just don't really like this stuff. Like, it feels like kind of true to Blistex form if you're familiar with the original formula. It's pretty like thick and gloppy and it sort of just sits on top of the lips. It's like not quite waxy enough and it's a little bit too slick to sort of sink into the lips. So I just sort of feel like it stays on top of there and like, yeah, it is probably moisturizing and doing something. I just don't find it super comfortable, and because of how slick it is, it does sort of tend to travel outside of my tiny little lip lines here. So if you're wearing makeup or you put this on with foundation, like, I would worry that some of it would start to wear off just because it just seems really kind of oily. So heads up on that. Okay, so I've got moisturizer and primer on. I've also go ahead and put on some liquid bronzer because I really like to put on some contour before I put on my foundation. Normally at this point I would also put on some liquid highlighter underneath my foundation, but we have a new super glowy looking highlighter to try, so I'm just gonna leave it blank and see how that one performs. So anyway, so for foundation, we are going to be using the new Glamoflauge full coverage foundation from Hard Candy. This is slippery. Even though it's oil free, it is 16-hour wear and it is supposed to be full coverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply half of it on my face using a new brush that I picked up from Real Techniques. This is an ultimate buffing brush. You're supposed to use it, I can't hold anything. And on the other half, we're gonna stick with Real Techniques and use my Miracle complexion sponge, which I use this with all my foundations. This is typically how I apply my foundations, not with a brush, so we'll see how it applies on both sides. This is one that I picked up probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I tried it a couple of times, and it's definitely full coverage. It's pretty matte, but I actually didn't mind the coverage. Those are two things that I typically stay away from. I like a little bit more sheer and dewy finish. This one, it just actually didn't look bad, and I think it's partially because I was able to select a really good tone for my skin, which is Beige 1505, in case anybody is wondering. Okay, so now that my hair is out of the way, let's actually apply this. It has a giant doe foot applicator. No surprise there. It's either this or a pump. Those are about the only options you get. I know a lot of people don't like this because of having to apply it on your skin where there's more like sebaceous glands and oil. I don't mind it if I am worried about it or if my skin isn't in the best shape. I'll just put it on the back of my hand, my clean hand, and then pick it up with my sponge or my brush and go from there. So that's what I'm gonna do today because I just, you know, I like doing that. Seems moderately more sanitary. This is a pretty thick swatch because this is what I'm gonna be applying on my skin. It's definitely got a bit of a yellowish undertone to it, but doesn't seem to oxidize or look kind of weird on the skin. So happy about that. All right, and like I said, using a new brush from Real Techniques. This is the Ultimate Buffing Brush. This came in a kit with 3 other brushes. We have like a contour brush, a shadow blending brush here, and then this one is a large smudge brush. So I will be using smudge brush. I will be using all of these for right now. We're gonna start with the buffing brush and pop this foundation on. This brush is picking up quite a bit of the product, which I don't mind because, like I said, it is pretty full coverage, and I'm a kind of person that likes a little bit more sheer coverage, so if the brush is kind of taking care of some of that for me, then I'm fine with that. But like, look at that. That was like, what, 20 seconds? I actually really like the finish of that. Again, I don't typically use brushes to apply my foundation, but why not? I am noticing like it's clinging a little bit here to like my peach fuzz and stuff. Maybe I just need to do a little shave again soon. But overall, it's not bad. And I think from far away, it does have like that nice sort of full coverage effect. So onto the other side, we're gonna be using my dampened Miracle sponge, and I'm just gonna do the same thing, pop it on the back of my hand and pick it up with the sponge. I feel like it's actually going on a little bit more full coverage with the sponge, which is not typically something that I experience, so that's kind of interesting. Just a heads up, I didn't do any pore smoothing or filling. I usually use the Tarte's Timeless Smoothing Primer or whatever, just to kind of press in here, just because I kind of wanted to see what this sort of does on its own, just using like a simple primer underneath. In case anyone is wondering, the primer that I used is the Coconut Skin Smoothie Primer from First Aid Beauty. I absolutely love this stuff. I just did a video on 4 products from them. This is a freaking star. Okay, so here we have up close of the sponge application. It is looking pretty similar in the mirror. Even though I thought it was giving me a little bit more full coverage, I think the sponge actually did end up shearing it out a little bit. And to be honest, I kind of like the look of the brush side better, which I was not expecting. So anyway, we're just gonna go ahead with the rest of the makeup. I am gonna do some check-ins. This is 16-hour wear, so right now, I'll go get my time. So right now it is just about 10 to 10, and let me see, 16 hours from now, it's never gonna happen. So I can't imagine a world where I would wear this foundation for a full 16 hours, especially now that it's already 10 o'clock. That would put us at like 2 a.m. or something. That's totally not happening. So I'm gonna try and keep it on till like 8, 9 o'clock, so we'll get about 10 or 11 hours of wear time, see how everything is going. But yeah, I will be checking in later on that. Okay, so next up is time for highlight. I am super excited about this. This is the new loose highlighting powder, the MegaGlo highlighting powder from Wet n Wild. This was $8.97 at my local superstore. I grabbed it, there wasn't any price, so I went and like did the little, you know, price scanner thing, and I was like, it's gonna be like $5 or $6, it's Wet n Wild. $8.94, pretty much $9. I was like, this is bougie Wet n Wild. So I have high hopes for this. There's a ton of product in here. You get 0.28 ounces or 8 grams. This is like quite a beefy package here. But again, like $9 for Wet n Wild. Okay. At the store, this is the shade All Glown Up. It's kind of like a nice goldy champagne shade. They only had 2 shades at the store that I was at. The other one was this one. It was kind of this really light icy pinky shade in You Glow Girl. But there are actually 2 other shades, and this is the one I'm So Lit, which this is the one that I probably would have picked up, but I also have like 10,000 highlighters like that, so I'm kind of glad that this one was there. There is also, I think this is supposed to be like the darkest one, so hopefully it's not too dark. Last shade is actually like a super true gold, which is called Hustle and Glow. And this is one that I also have a bunch of. So this will be interesting. I think it has kind of like a taupey, tawny kind of, I'm just gonna stop talking about it and show you guys the undertone. I hope this isn't like a big mess. Oh, nice. So they have a nice sticker on there, so it's not gonna make a mess when you open it, and a pretty decent looking sifter. So you're not gonna get a ton of product coming out, I hope. I don't know if I can get into it. For real, literally having nails is so good and so bad. There's no smell to it. We're not having like a little Fenty moment where it smells like, you know, vanilla and heaven. That's okay. So again, comes out like pretty nice and slow. The holes in the sifter are pretty small. I just tap some into the lid here, and we'll do a swatch first. Ooh, this is... Ooh-wee. Okay, so surprisingly for a loose powder, it's powdery. So I just kind of like rub that into my hand pretty good, but that is some metallic ass highlight. Like that's gonna be my eyeshadow as well. That is insane. Okay, now I'm excited. We're gonna be using this brush here. It's supposed to be, it says contour fan brush. I don't know, I would never use this for my contour. It's just like a little bit too firm and it would make such a harsh line. But this kind of brush, this sort of density and the duo fiber and the shape of it, I think is really good for applying highlighter. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pop in here in the lid, give it a little tap tap, because again, it's pretty powdery. And oh, I hope this isn't too dark. I bet you this is gonna be too dark. Okay, here we go. Oh, and just if you're wondering, the luminosity on my cheeks here is partly the primer, but it's also, I put on Milani Luminoso. We kept it in the drugstore family, and that's what that is. So you see how that brush just like really, it just hugs your cheekbones really nicely, and it gives you that nice precise line, but it buffs it out enough that it's not like stripe of highlight. So this is definitely too dark, but are you kidding me? Like, it's like I have my own freaking sunshine right in front. Like, okay. It's definitely giving me like some rose gold vibes, and it is so incredibly reflective. Just as an FYI, I am in natural light right now. So this is what this shit really looks like. Okay, I want to do the same thing that I did with my foundation and use a dampened beauty blender to apply this on this side. This is something that I do from, you know, time to time, just if I want a little bit more of a diffused highlighter look, which I think that this formula might work with. So let's try. So again, right off the bat, I kind of like how it applied with the brush, because you sort of get the same amount of application, but this one seemed to be like a little bit more, I don't know, easy to spread out. Oh, I just mucked that up. Now I want to go and pick up like both of those lighter shades, because this highlight is freaking insane. Like insane. I do have to go out here in a little bit, and I'm not mad about it. I'm just gonna leave this as it is. So I just put on a bit of concealer to prep my eyelids, and I realized that I didn't even put on concealer under my eyes. Like, I legitimately just completely forgot. I feel like that foundation had such nice coverage that I don't even feel like I'm looking that dark underneath my eyes. So I'm not even gonna put concealer on today. A wild day. Oh, wild woman. Okay, so I'm just gonna be using a True Blend bronzer from CoverGirl and this domed shadow brush from the new Real Techniques kit, and I'm just going to do like a simple eye look, surprise, pop this in my crease, and then I just really want to use that highlighter just to see what we're working with there. Okay, I like this brush. It's actually like a nice shape because really? Because of my teeny tiny little eye shape, I like to just sort of like stamp it on and like where I need the color, because if I'm like doing windshield wiper and sweeping motions and circular motions right off the bat, I'm making a good point here. It gets like out of hand. It gets so smoky and so crappy looking. So for me, again, I just like to really stamp this on, and this is a really nice shape. The duo fiber is good for picking up a good amount of product but also blending it out at the same time, and the size is really nice for just sort of like making an instant crease. Nothing wrong with that. So for the last little brush in the Real Techniques kit, we have the large smudge brush. This isn't like large. All right, so on our large smudge brush, we're going to pick up, again, I still have quite a bit left here in the cap, and we're just gonna put that, I think, all over the lid. I really like that bronzer as a transition shade though. Oh, that is so pretty. I have had a couple experiences where highlights, I have really oily eyelids, so highlighters typically, or in the past, I shouldn't say typically, in the past some of them just, they end up creasing. Even though like I set my eyelids, I use a primer, I do all the normal steps that I would normally do with like a good eyeshadow, and it still ends up creasing. So again, we're gonna do some check-ins, see how this wears, not only on the cheeks, but on the eyes as well, because this is such a beautiful eyeshadow color. I'm so excited. I'm actually gonna use this big fluffy brush again, pick up a little more, and just sort of now buff it into the transition shade. And just darken it a little bit because it's so pretty. Oh my goodness. Taking the tiny bit that's left on my brush and going underneath here. Just even it out a bit. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Here I was like, it's so expensive, it better be worth it. It's worth it, because especially if I'm mostly using this as an eyeshadow, this will last me until I die. Okay, before I should actually put my hair back up. Before I do my mascara, we've got a couple new mascaras to try. I'm going to do my brows. So, y'all, I had this like old Dutch boss, and he used to call me like Ragabruger or something, like some weird Dutch word, and it was like the word for this specific Dutch mop, because that's what my hair looked like. I was like, thanks, Hank. Rest in peace. So for my brows, I have another brand new product. This is from Wet n Wild. It is the Retractable Ultimate Brow Retractable Brow Pencil. It's a little redundant, but okay. I actually wanted to pick up the CoverGirl Ultra Fine or Microfine or whatever it's actually called now, but the only shade that they had left at the store that I was at was blonde, and I was like, I'm not quite blonde. It's hard to find shades that match, because again, I've got this ombre thing. I do have lots of blonde, but the blonde is platinum. I don't like anything warm in my brows, so the reason that I picked this one up, it is brand new. I was curious about it. I like the applicator shape. It has that sort of triangular angled thing. That works really well for me because I have pretty decently thickish brows already, so I don't find that this kind of goes overboard. The other reason I picked this up is because it's in ash brown, and that is exactly what I'm going for. So this is, I mean, I literally just opened this. This is the first time I've used it, and it was a little, like, I'm not pressing very hard, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of waxy. So it might be one of those ones that's better once it warms up. It does have a spoolie on the other side. Ooh, that's like a nice big fat spoolie. I like that. And I love that when it comes with this spoolie. I almost lost my mirror. Normally at this point, I would kind of go in first with the Milk Makeup Cush Fiber Brow Gel just to kind of give myself a little bit of oomph to start. But I just want to use this 100% on its own. See how she goes. I'm actually using it with the pointed tip, the teeny tiny little tip pointed downward, because going upward, it's just going to give me like kind of too fat of a line. So I'm already like having to adjust. Okay, I'm not loving this so far. It's going on like patchy, if that makes sense. Like I can really see where it's been. I don't know if it's not a great shade match for me, but like if anyone's ash brown, it's me. Okay, so that actually did a decent job. Warmed up a little bit. Like I said, it was kind of hard at first on my hand, but it's already softened up a little bit. But I'm finding like it's just really obvious to see where I've put the product, which I guess is a good thing. Like that sounds stupid to say, but I just don't want to have to like go back over and over and over to try and fill in those spots. And then some spots will get dark or not dark, and then, you know, it's just like a whole other situation. So here we are, one brow is done. Other brow not done. It's not magic, it's just, it's a good brow pencil. I don't know, I think for like $2, this was $6. This, not, you know, it's not expensive, but for $2 for how this is performing, I would just pick up the e.l.f. one. For ash brown, this definitely has some warmth to it. I'm not stoked about that. And the like pointy nub that I was like, use the pointy end, it's gonna be more precise. It's pretty much gone already. And this is, again, first time I've used it. Ow! Struggling. So I'm just using this spoolie to kind of like comb the product sort of like onto my skin a little bit, so it's not looking quite like I'm literally like blending it onto my skin. Which again, it's fine. It's just not great. I feel like right now there are a quadrillion amazing brow products out there that if you're not like a great brow product, no. All right, I gotta hurry up because the lighting is about to go bonkers. Last up, we have the Voluminous Original Mascara from L'Oreal. This is in the shade Burgundy. And I also have from Maybelline the Snapscara. This is in Black Cherry. So I'm gonna be putting this on one side, this on the other side, just to kind of show you the actual difference. Although I swear, my light. Okay, so I didn't even curl my lashes just so we can kind of get the full effect of what it does on its own. I have used this one from L'Oreal, the Burgundy one, for probably 2 weeks. I like it, but it's a little bit too light for me and like the personal look that I usually go for to just use on its own. So what I've been doing is putting on, you know, a layer or 2 thin layers of black mascara, and then just applying this over sort of at the ends and on my bottom lashes. I absolutely love this for my bottom lashes. Again, because my eyes are so small, it kind of closes them off, or it looks too spidery for my personal taste to have black on the bottom. This is, oh. All right, we are back. I just put on the last couple of layers of the Burgundy mascara. It's a little bit clumpy. Like, personally, I don't love a super clumpy look, but it is incredibly volumizing, and it's definitely, I mean, versus having nothing on, that's pretty noticeable, but I don't really love how clumpy this formula is. So popping it on the bottom lashes. Oh, that's so nice. Now into the Snapscara. This is supposed to be on in a snap and off in a snap. So we will have a look again at the end of the day. We'll check in. I probably will see how well this washes off and let you know. The one thing that I did want to mention, I'm a contact lens wearer. This does say that it can stain your contact lenses, and I have cried while wearing this, and I do notice when I'm cleaning it off at the end of the night with my oil cleanser, you see red, like you see red. It's definitely burgundy, so just a heads up on that. This is actually really gorgeous packaging. For a drugstore mascara, it has some weight to it, which to me just makes it feel a little bit more luxurious. This is super cute, just these sort of like emoji type of things. This is clear, so this is actually the color of the product. And it is, again, to me, so much darker than the Voluminous one. Definitely a unique brush. It has that sort of lots of fibers on it, but it's really strongly tapered. So I feel like it's supposed to give you like a really good fanning effect where you're getting lots of volume and definition on the outer corners, which is typically where I like it. So going in, this is brand new, which kind of isn't like the best way to test the two side by side, because I feel like mascaras usually warm up and get a little bit better after you've used them a few times, but let's give this a go. So right off the bat, I'm already seeing like that it is quite a bit blacker. Again, this is black cherry, so it's kind of black with, I don't know, to me it's just black. I kind of want to swatch them. It's really like grabbing onto my lashes and separating them as it goes up. So it's clumping a lot less than the L'Oreal one, and I really like that. So I love this mascara. This, again, because of the way that the brush is shaped, it really like fans out the outer corners. And it's so much less clumpy than the other side. Like the Voluminous side, the L'Oreal side over here is a little bit more like pow, glam, lashes. But for me in an everyday situation, I want something like a little bit more natural and a little bit less clumpy. So I'm actually gonna pop into some different light just to really show you the difference. And I'm also gonna swatch the colors on the back of my hand just to see. Oh, like that's like straight black. Like I don't even know why they call it black cherry. It's weird. Here's Maybelline's Black Cherry Snapscara, and here is the L'Oreal Voluminous Burgundy. And I spread them out. Like the black cherry one is basically black. Like you can see a little bit that it's not like straight black, but this is like red, like burgundy red. So definitely much darker than this one in comparison, just in a swatch alone. Again, we're just gonna pop into some better light. There goes everything. All right, so this is like probably too much light for the mascara and for my eyes, but can we just take a minute for this highlight? Like, can we just, like, oh my nerves, oh my nerves. Okay, so here we have the Voluminous Burgundy. Here we have the Maybelline Snapscara in Black Cherry. This is definitely more of a natural look. This is definitely way more voluminous, but I don't know. I like this one better. I just do. All right, everybody, it is time for a check-in. We are sitting at 3 o'clock. So makeup has been on for about 5 hours. And so like halfway through the estimated time that I'm hoping to wear this today. And I have to say, like, I'm pretty impressed. Like, I thought I was noticing some creasing and stuff in here and in my, like, I have like, you know, this 11 right here, and then like, you know, my crease and my chin. But it kind of seemed to go away once the makeup sort of melded into the oils of my skin. So I do sort of feel like my natural oils are coming through a little bit. I have like combination skin, but it's like pretty normal for the most part. Sorry, my dogs are like messing around in the background. So I do find like maybe if you have more oily skin, you might really love this foundation because it is full coverage and it is matte, and if you were to build it up a little bit more than I did and your natural oils were coming through, it might come out to be like a nice dewy finish. So just something to keep in mind. A couple other things that I wanted to mention. Oh, hi. From my other video was I did set my face. I kept with the drugstore and used the Hard Candy Matte Sheer Envy setting spray. So I did use a mattifying setting spray, and like everything is still looking like nice and glowy, especially the highlight. Like I'm so impressed with that highlight. And the other thing that I did do was set my eyes. I set my eyes, no, my eyebrows with the Anastasia. Okay, Beans. Oh my gosh. The Anastasia Clear Brow Gel, just because I would never just like only put a pencil in my brows and call it a day, especially if I want my makeup to last any sort of amount of time. So I did touch that up. I am pretty impressed with how the brows looked. Again, overall impressed with how the skin looks in general. We'll check in again at the end of the day. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, say bye. Okay, everybody, I thought I would do one more check-in while there's still some natural light. It's just before 5 o'clock. Sorry, you can't really see that. It's just before 5, so the makeup's been on for like 7 hours. And I did start to notice, I just was looking in the mirror like up close, I started to notice like it's getting a little bit dry and patchy on my cheeks. So I'll zoom you in and see if you can kind of tell. It might be easier to see once I'm up in the studio later. But here, like on my cheeks especially, I'm noticing like it's falling apart. It's getting a little bit dry and patchy and like not cute looking. So this is normally the part of the day where like other foundations that I wear still look really good. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. It might have been the mattifying setting spray that's kind of just dried it down a little bit too much. Not 100% sure. The e.l.f. highlighter, or sorry, Wet n Wild highlighter that I use as the eyeshadow has held up amazingly. Like it's not creasing at all. I mean, it's not like a hot day or anything, but like that doesn't matter. My eyelids crease no matter what. So I'm super impressed with that powder. However, I was like looking at this footage and starting to edit it, and I noticed so much texture on my cheekbones. I like almost never have texture there. Barely ever shows up on me, and I noticed this like when I was looking at the film, it showed up immediately. You guys are probably like, oh girl, what about that texture? Like it's nice, but come on. Like I see it. So that is definitely something to be aware of because it is so reflective. It is definitely going to pick up some texture and show that. So if that's something you're worried about, just keep that in mind. All right, everybody, we have made it to the end of the day. It is 7:47, so it is exactly 9 hours after I put the foundation on this morning. And I just want to run through my final thoughts, not just on the foundation, but really quickly on everything else. The Blistex Lip Conditioning Hydrating Serum, yada yada. It actually lasted a lot longer than I expected, like probably a good hour and a half later, I was still feeling like kind of moisturized. And it didn't transfer onto my foundation or muck up my makeup like I was worried about. So plus points for that. Speaking of the foundation, like I mentioned in my last check-in, it did start to kind of like dry down and like not break apart a little bit, but just sort of look like a little bit dry and patchy on my cheeks. However, in my T-zone where I have a little bit more oil, it stayed looking really nice. I've been like blowing my nose. I ate, I had like dripped some milk, I was having cereal earlier, and like it still looks actually quite nice. So while we're only at the 9-hour mark out of 16 hours, and while I would typically wear my makeup for probably like 10 or 11 hours on a normal day before washing it off, this, like I said, because it's already like dried down and looking patchy, I just want to get it off my skin. So I don't doubt that it would last another good 2, 3, maybe 4 hours and still look decent, because it does kind of have that like heavy, full coverage, matte, full finish foundation look to it that again like looks really good from afar, but once you get up close it just kind of starts to look really makeup-y and cakey. So heads up on that. It does, like I said, it does look like it would last quite a bit longer than it would now, but it would have to be like from far away. Really quickly on the Wet n Wild MegaGlo loose powder, y'all, that stuff, I've been like staring at my cheeks all day. Like, again, so dark, but it's not something that I won't use again. Like, I absolutely love it. And as an eyeshadow, it has performed equally well. I have had no creasing, and I only use a concealer. Typically I would use like the MAC paint pot because I'm pretty crazy about what I prime my eyelids with. But this, like, it's held up all day. Like, I honestly can't believe it. There's a teeny tiny bit of creasing that I noticed maybe like an hour ago, but like really 8 hours on these eyelids, exactly, on these eyelids. Like, I'm so impressed. I'm so happy. The color, the tone, everything I think is so beautiful. So I will absolutely keep using that as an eyeshadow and probably as a highlight as well. Last up real quick, we're just going to chat about the mascaras. I have to say that, again, despite the L'Oreal Voluminous Burgundy being a little bit light for my preference, it has looked absolutely stunning all day. Like, even from back here, like I can see in the monitor, in my little camera monitor, like I could still see so much lash. This side, not so much. Again, fine for every day. It's pretty. I think they say it comes off in a snap because like there's not a whole lot like left as it is now anyway, so it's probably gonna be pretty easy to remove. But this side, like, I'm so impressed. I'm super tempted now to just go and pick up when I need mascara again. I have like 6 to go through, but when I need mascara, I want to just pick up the black formula of this because it is absolutely so intense. Like, my lashes have looked so good all day. Again, this is hour 9, like hour 9. Oh my goodness. Barely any like smudging or anything going on underneath with both mascaras, so plus on both sides for that. That is it for today's drugstore haul. I am sorry it was so long, but thank you so much for being here. If you made it to the end, congratulations. Everything I use will be linked in the description box below. If you have any questions, please ask, and I hope that you go and check out some of my other videos. Give this one a like if you liked it, and I hope everybody has a great day or a great night or whenever you're watching this. Aloha.